Hey everybody, good to be back, good to be seen. We are all miracles, and you watching this video today, keep going. There is the other side, and I'll tell you, when you get there, it's from watching life in a black and white movie to fantastic color. So the first thing I want to tell you is, obviously, by the way, it's Phil Eichinger, but the first thing I want to tell you is I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor. I don't give medical advice. All I can tell you is my story of strength and hope, and give some of it to you because you deserve it and you're worth it. And to make sure that, I just stick to what it was like, what happened to me, and what it's like today. And I have a lot of bad days, but I've never had as many good days as I've had over the last long stretch of time. And it's because of folks like you that are here and being able to talk about some of these issues, which in the past were somewhat taboo, especially when it comes to the stigma of mental illness. What I wanted, oh, by the way, so let's do this. So I have run behind in getting everybody's questions based on the YouTube channel, and I do the best I can. I found like a whole litany of questions that people had IM'd me through Facebook, but because we're not friends, they go to some different compartment, and I literally have, and I'm going to spend time this weekend doing it, 60 to 65. And some of them are quite long with your stories that I will get back to. The other thing is you're not offending me by keeping after me and making sure that I continue to hear you and get back to everybody. What I want to say today is that my name, which you see here in the video, Phil Eichinger, no periods, no spaces, no nothing, no underscore, just Phil Eichinger at yahoo.com is my email address. So make sure that if you want to get to me even faster, send me an email so that I don't have to find it from somewhere like I just figured out how to operate the IM Facebook. Today we're going to talk about antidepressants. Antidepressants, kind of a checkered history, love and hate relationship. Not even love and hate, so much the fact that frustration that's come from them as you get excited each time you begin a new one, and you get the inevitable letdown and disappointment when it fails. Antidepressants for me have always, and by the way, I only talk about me. Every reference here is me and my experience. I don't speak for anybody other than myself and my own experiences. But for me, antidepressants, a couple of categories. First, they say that you really need to be on them at the therapeutic dose, whatever that target is, for a good 8 weeks before you get the full effects. And sometimes the nausea, anxiety, and panic and suicidal thoughts you get during that step-up period is too much to where you can't even keep going off the bat. The second experience for me has been that it will work for a couple of months, and then, as we say in the community, it'll poop out, using a technical term, and we'll have to go someplace else. And then the other thing is either you can't get through the step-up stage, it poops out after 6 to 12 months, or it just doesn't work at all. And that's been my primary lesson from being on antidepressants on and off for the better part of 35 years. What I found out has been the key to my eventual success as a great tool and complement to recovery and getting yourself back whole if used properly, and if you're in the right church. Right? You're in the right pew in the right church with the right medication. So the thing that finally dawned on me was every time I'm diagnosed or anytime I'm put on an antidepressant, I was being put on the same class of antidepressants. For me, I look at them in 4 buckets, and yet for decades, I only thought there was 1 bucket: serotonin, right? Serotonin gives you mood, gives you joy, gives you happiness. Everyday life is fulfilling, and you're not, you're calm, you're modulated, your amygdala is working in unison with the rest of your body, and that, for the most part, is what a lot of the issues are in terms of clinical depression. It is serotonin uptakes that need to be corrected. It may not be a brain chemistry imbalance, but for my understanding, that's the way I choose to look at it, kind of as it being off. I got on antidepressants because I did the work. If I was had a traumatic upbringing or PTSD or issues or hurt, I explored all that. And I went through it all, and I did the John Bradshaw work, and I went back and rescued my inner child from trauma and PTSD and whatnot. And what I found is, after doing all that work, I was still genetically depressed. I was still tired all day. I still couldn't sleep at night. I still was anxious as all get out. I still had negative impulsive thoughts racing through my head. I still had all the problems of being wired and tired on a daily basis and exhausted. So if it's not just, he was bullied in school, or, he was abused sexually as a young person, or if it wasn't anything I could revisit, then I came to the perspective that it had to be some type of genetic problem. And now that I look back on my household, genetic undiagnosed depression, it's so clear as day now. It runs generationally in my family and very, very deep, especially on my mom's side, now that I've learned and gotten educated about it. So listen, if you're going and trying medication, but they continue to put you on serotonin uptake reuptake inhibitors, then you're not going to get a different result. You're in the same church, just switching pews, right? Pews, excuse me. And so whether it's Zoloft, or whether it's Lexapro, or whether it's Prozac, or whether it's Paxil, you keep cycling through all these medications, folks, but they're the same damn receptors being hit, in the same bucket, as I'll call it. So it wasn't until I actually went away last year, where my anxiety and depression got so bad, I needed to go away. I needed to stop what I was doing, drop everything, and went on a 21-day sojourn down to Maryland to really do the clinical homework on how I can get better. I did the genetic testing, I did the blood work, I did everything. And really what I learned from some fantastic doctors down in Maryland was everybody's always going after that 1 bucket. So if you're just going after all those medications I just listed, as I said before, you can switch as many pews as you want, but if you're in the wrong church, you're not going to get the grace. You're not going to get the lessons, right? So I've really broken it down into 4 buckets now, guys. And I think back, and over the years, I've tried all of them and different medications from each until I hit pay dirt, right? And a lot of this is trial and error. But after I decided all these SSRIs aren't working, so maybe I don't have a serotonin problem, right? Maybe I have a GABA problem, right? And what's GABA? GABA is, it affects happiness. It affects your mood. You have a wired and tired, like you drank a gallon of coffee, but you're still exhausted. That's GABA. Your temperature's not regulated. You're either too hot or too cold all the time. Lots of different things that signal an imbalance of GABA. And you twitch. You have muscle spasms. Restless leg for people short GABA tends to be significantly worse for folks that don't have a GABA deficiency. So maybe it wasn't serotonin. Maybe it didn't matter how many Zolofts or Prozacs or whatever I took. I needed to get to the other church. GABA type medications are the Neurotins. What am I thinking of as a good GABA? Gabapentin. Gabapentin is a great example. Some people use Phenibut too to help with their GABA. Lots of different things. I didn't get any improvement. 0 for 2, right? Didn't work on serotonin. Tried 10, 20 different medications. Didn't work. And then when it came to GABA, tried multiple medications. Wasn't getting any better. And you know the frustration, gang. Because living life this way, in chronic anxiety and depression, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. I mean, I'd rather have every bone in my body broken at once than have to live with anxiety, depression, where it's untreatable depression and anxiety through the roof, where you are fear of fear. You're worried when the phone rings. You're worried when the mail comes. You're worried when you're just on. Your amygdala has been so hijacked that you're out of your mind, and it's exhausting. And sometimes it gets so bad you wonder, is it worth it, and can you keep going? Combine that with the fact that you go through all the serotonins and they don't work, all the GABAs, they don't work. Then I go to step 3, which for me was dopamine. Dopamine, an issue for dopamine would be, that's feeling happy. Issues with dopamine shortage would be you crave sugar all the time, right? You're worried incessantly. You have nasty panic attacks that come out of nowhere. An example of a dopamine medication would be Wellbutrin, right? That affects primarily or a good chunk of it, your dopamine receptors. Tried a couple in that family, wrong church. So I'm 0 for 3, right, in my 4 buckets. Serotonin, which I literally spent 2 decades on medication, rotating tons of them. But if you don't have a serotonin deficiency, it don't work. GABA didn't work, right? Dopamine, nope, wasn't that one. And then finally, I hit on norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is kind of a depression, but a depression with an anxiety that has it to where you just can't sit still. Your mind is racing. You are cheating yourself. You are in a perpetual state of ADD. You are freaked out all the time, and your nerves are shot. Somebody came in that room there, my nerves would be jumping. And then I said, boy, that one sounds like me more than any of them. And so I went down that road. I started with Cymbalta, which for the first time in my life of taking antidepressants, it worked. And the reason it worked, not is because it's better medication than all the other ones I had tried, it's because I finally found my way into the right church. It doesn't even matter what pew you sit in then. If you're in the right church, you're going to get benefit, especially where we're coming from. We are in so much pain, so much fucking pain with anxiety, depression, and mental illness, that just to get a little bit of relief. Now, my problem with Cymbalta is like so many others, it pooped out after 6 months and I was stuck. So I moved over to another norepinephrine, which is Effexor, which has always concerned me because it's a rough medicine. Its nickname is Side Effexor as opposed to Effexor because of all the side effects. Being tired, groggy, brain fog, twitching. If you're an hour or 2 late on your daily dosage of Effexor, you're vomiting. You're out of your mind. So it's a strong medication, but as I will tell you, for me, I was having trouble going on a daily basis. Getting up to brush my teeth some days was my best act of the day. Shaving and showering. Momentous accomplishments. Because of what this disease takes from us. And the Effexor, for the time I was on that, allowed me to do cognitive therapy, allowed me to get in with my children and do therapy with them, because they see how dad is just not operating 100%, and they think it's them. They think that I don't love them. They think that I'm lazy. They think that I want to sit on the couch all weekend. They think that I don't want to be with them. And that's another byproduct of this mental illness, if there wasn't already 8 million things that destroy us. But that worked for me and gave me the stepping stone to begin to get better. And I finally had it after hundreds of medications, hundreds of different dosages, several different doctors. This is my key to antidepressants and considering an antidepressant. To me, I was always a little bit against them until I got up against the wall where I couldn't. One out of 5 people, I think it's closer to 1 in 4, 1 out of 5 suffer from this. And it just wasn't treated, you know. So many of my uncles, now looking back, died so young. And if they just could have gotten the help. But that's what we're here for as a community. That's what I'm here for you. But so the key to my thoughts about considering antidepressant medication and going on antidepressant medication is do a little bit of homework, maybe get some genetic testing done to see which drugs you're highly compatible to versus which ones don't work. There are tests out there. I had the whole series running when I was in Maryland. And decide out of, in my simpleton terms, which 4 bucket do you have? It could be multiple, but which bucket do you have the shortcoming? And if you're trying meds from other buckets, they ain't gonna work. They ain't gonna. You can try 70 of them. They ain't gonna work. Right? Wrong church. You got to get in the right church and then find the right pew. So for me, it wasn't GABA, it wasn't serotonin, it wasn't dopamine, it was norepinephrine. And so that's what I'd like you to get out of this call and this video today is realize that it takes time. And if you've been frustrated in the past with this stuff, stick with it. But instead of just rotating medications, rotate the medications in the different pews that happen to be in the right church. And look to see which of those brain chemistry issues you have the imbalance in. Because once you can diagnose what the imbalance is, the solution is right around the corner. I love you all, and I am here. I gave you my email. I appreciate the time as always, and we'll have a couple more videos here coming up in the next couple of days. Phil Eichinger, thank you so much.